Lagos, with its relentless energy and boundless ambitions, served as a backdrop for the lives of Kioma, Ada, and Nozi, who, despite their shared childhoods, found themselves walking increasingly divergent paths as they ventured into adulthood. Kioma was the calm in the storm, a beacon of simplicity and warmth in a city that never paused for breath. Her home, an inherited two-bedroom bungalow in Surulere, was filled with relics of her childhood and her grandmother's old furniture, each piece carrying a story of days when Lagos seemed kinder, slower. Her father, now a retired schoolteacher, spent his days tending to the small garden at the front of their home, often humming tunes from old high-life songs. Ada lived in a modern high-rise apartment in Victoria Island, gifted to her by her father on her 21st birthday. The sharp lines and gleaming surfaces of her home mirrored her life's motto, nothing but the best. Her father's import business not only brought them wealth, but also a lifestyle filled with elite social gatherings and holidays in Europe, setting expectations for Ada that were as high as the skyscrapers surrounding her. Ngozi's world was one of balance, or at least an attempt at it. Her father, a prominent lawyer, and her mother, a university professor, instilled in her the value of education and the power of a well-reasoned argument. Her apartment, well-organized space in Ikeja was filled with books and legal journals, reflecting her aspirations to someday make her mark in the legal world of Lagos. Despite their different worlds, the trio shared a bond formed in the dusty playgrounds of their childhood, a bond that was being tested as they navigated the complexities of adult life. Chioma's latest news, her relationship with Chinedu, a young mechanic who lived in Mushin, was a spark that threatened to ignite a conflagration of opinions and judgments. Chinedu was a tall, lean figure with hands perpetually stained from his work. He had an easy smile and a depth to him that Chioma found irresistible. He dreamed of opening his own auto repair shop, dreaming as big as any man who dined in the high towers of Victoria Island but with far less in his pockets. When Kioma shared her news over lunch at a cozy restaurant halfway between Surulere and Victoria Island, she hoped for excitement and support. Instead, she was met with a silence that was heavy with unspoken words. Ada was the first to break the silence. Kioma, are you sure about this? It's not just about love, you know. How will he support you? What about your future? Ngozi, ever the diplomat, tried to soften Ada's blunt inquiry. What Ada means to say is that we just want the best for you. We're worried that you might be limiting yourself. Chioma felt a pang of disappointment. She had hoped her friends would see what she saw in Chinedu, his kindness, his ambition, his love for her. It was a love not shown through flashy gifts or exotic trips, but through shared dreams and whispered promises under the starlit skies of Lagos. As the conversation unfolded, the gap in their perspectives widened. Kioma defended her choice, emphasizing the authenticity and depth of her relationship. Ada and Ngozi, while trying to understand, couldn't shake their concerns about the practicalities of such a union. The lunch ended with a promise to meet again soon. But as they each went their separate ways, the air was thick with the residue of unresolved feelings. Kioma walked back to her car, her thoughts swirling with doubt and determination. Could her friends be right? Was she sacrificing her future for a love that might not withstand the harsh realities of Lagos? As the city buzzed around her, Kioma realized that this was a test, not just of her relationship with Chinedu, but of her friendships and her own convictions. She was at a crossroad, and the choices she made now would define the path of her life in ways she could never have anticipated. Chioma's relationship with Hanedu grew amidst the backdrop of Lagos's unending clamor. Their love, unlike the flashy romances of her friends, was built on shared experiences and quiet moments. Chinedu introduced Kioma to a Lagos that was different from her own, grittier, vibrant with life and hope. One evening, Chinedu invited Kioma to join him on a small adventure through his neighborhood in Mushin. They walked through bustling markets where Chinedu was greeted warmly by many he knew. They stopped at a tiny stall selling homemade pies and bought two, eating as they continued their walk. The simplicity of the moment, enhanced by Chinedu's stories of growing up in these streets, drew Kioma closer to him. Chinedu was a dreamer, but his dreams were grounded in the reality of his world. He talked often of opening his own auto repair shop, not just as a business venture, but as a way to give back to his community, to help young people find a path that could lead them out of poverty. His passion was infectious, and Kioma found herself believing in his dreams as if they were her own. See, I want to create a place that's more than just about fixing cars. It's about fixing lives too, Chinedu explained one night as they sat on the hood of a car he was repairing, watching the sun set over the rooftops of Mushin. Meanwhile, Ada and Ngozi observed Kyoma's deepening involvement with Chinedu with increasing concern. They worried that her romantic notions were blinding her to the practicalities of life in Lagos, where societal expectations and financial stability often dictated the success of a relationship. Determined to make her friends see the depth and potential of a relationship, Chioma arranged for them all to meet Chinedu. They agreed to gather at a popular open-air restaurant in Ikeja, a neutral ground that was neither too fancy for Chinedu nor too simple for Ida and Ngozi. The dinner was tense at first, with Ada and Ngozi politely inquisitive and Chinedu understandably nervous. However, as the evening progressed, his genuine nature and clear affection for Chioma won them over, if only slightly. They saw his respect for her, his earnestness in explaining his future business plans, and how his eyes lit up every time he looked at her. Chioma has told me a lot about you both, Chinedu said, addressing Ada and Ngozi directly. I know I'm not the kind of man you expected her to be with, but I love her and I'm committed to building a future where we both can be happy. Ada, moved by his sincerity but still skeptical, nodded. We just want to make sure she's looked after, she said, her voice softer than before. Ngozi added, we can see you care for her, and that's important, but caring isn't always enough in Lagos. After they parted ways that night, the air was filled with mixed feelings. Ada and Ngozi were impressed by Chinedu's charisma and sincerity, but remained worried about the financial and social implications of his ambitions. Chioma, however, felt a renewed confidence in her choice. Chinedu's words had not only reassured her, but had reignited her faith in their shared dreams. As the weeks passed, Chioma stood by Chinedu as he began to put his plans into action. She watched him navigate the complexities of securing a loan, searching for a suitable location for his shop, and dealing with the bureaucratic red tape that often stifled small businesses in Nigeria. Her support was unwavering, but so were the challenges they faced together. As Chinedu's plans for his auto repair shop began to take shape, Chioma found herself increasingly involved in the process. The initial excitement of starting a new venture gradually gave way to the sobering realities of entrepreneurship in Lagos. Chinedu faced numerous obstacles, from securing a loan with reasonable interest rates to finding a location that wasn't exorbitantly priced or in disrepair. Chioma watched as Chinedu navigated these challenges with a mix of optimism and frustration. One evening, after a particularly disheartening day of dealing with a landlord who had tried to swindle them with hidden fees, they sat together in a quiet park, sharing a flask of bitter leaf tea. It's like for every step forward, we take 2 steps back, Chinedu sighed, running his oil-stained hands through his hair. But I can't give up. This is about more than just us. It's about what we can do for the community. Chioma took his hand, feeling the calluses that told stories of hard work and perseverance. I believe in you, Chinedu. We'll make this work, no matter what it takes. Their shared determination soon paid off. After weeks of searching, they finally secured a modest workshop space in a more affordable part of Mushin. It needed work, lots of it, but they both saw the potential for it to become the kind of community hub Chinedu had envisioned. Together, they cleaned, painted, and repaired the dilapidated space. Chioma found herself swept up in the project, her days filled with phone calls to suppliers, negotiating prices, and evenings spent helping Chinedu set up the shop. Meanwhile, Ada and Ngozi observed Chioma's deepening commitment with mixed feelings. Ada, inspired by Chioma's dedication, began to question the superficial nature of her own lifestyle. Her boutique was doing well, but she felt a growing emptiness, a longing for a purpose that went beyond profits and prestige. Ngozi, facing her own challenges in the legal field, was moved by Chioma's resolve. She had recently been involved in a case that highlighted the plight of disadvantaged youths in Lagos, and seeing Chinedu's effort to provide opportunities for such individuals gave her a new perspective on her work. The grand opening of Chinedu's autocar was a humble affair, but the joy and pride in Chinedu's eyes as he caught the ribbon were palpable. The local community turned out in support, and even Ada and Nozi were there, clapping and cheering. "Look at what you've accomplished," Chioma whispered to Chinedu as the crowd dispersed, leaving them alone amidst the tools and newly installed equipment. "We did this together," Chinedu replied, pulling her close, "and we'll do so much more." As the weeks turned into months, the shop began to gain traction. Chinedu's reputation for honest service and fair prices built a loyal customer base, and he started training local youths as apprentices, fulfilling his vision of giving back to the community. Ada and Ngozi, impressed by Chinedu's success and Kyoma's unwavering support, started to see the value in their friend's choices. Ada took steps to incorporate more socially responsible practices into her boutique, and Ngozi intensified her efforts to work on legal advocacy for those who couldn't afford representation. With Chinedu's autocar steadily growing and becoming a cornerstone of the Mushin community, Chioma and Chinedu decided it was time to celebrate another milestone, their wedding. The planning of the wedding became a new venture for them, symbolizing not only their love but also their commitment to their shared values of community and simplicity. Chioma, with her innate sense of style and simplicity, opted for a wedding that reflected both her and Chinedu's personalities and their journey together. Instead of a lavish venue, they chose the small church in Mushin where Chinedu had grown up attending. For the reception, Chinedu suggested using the space at his auto shop, transforming it with decorations and lights to celebrate their union, right where their shared dreams had taken shape. Ada, inspired by a friend's authentic approach to life and touched by their invitation to be part of their special day, offered to design Kyoma's dress. She envisioned a gown that combined traditional Nigerian elements with a modern aesthetic, representing Kyoma's bridge between her heritage and her contemporary life in Lagos. Ngozi, ever the organizer and planner, stepped up to coordinate the event details. Her recent experience in law and advocacy had sharpened her organizational skills, which she now poured into ensuring the wedding would be a seamless and memorable event. As the wedding day approached, the friends gathered more frequently. These meetings, once filled with tension and unspoken judgments, now brimmed with laughter and shared anticipation. Ada and Ngozi saw firsthand the community's respect for Chinedu and Chioma, and their skepticism transformed into admiration and support. The wedding day was a true reflection of Chioma and Chinedu's journey together. The church was modest but beautifully adorned with local flowers and fabrics, creating a vibrant yet intimate setting. Chioma walked down the aisle, radiant in the stunning gown Ada had designed, her joy magnified by the presence of their closest friends and family, and the broader community that had supported them throughout their journey. Chinedu, dressed in a traditional agbada that echoed Kyoma's blend of modern and traditional, waited at the altar with a smile that lit up the room. As they exchanged vows, their promises to each other were not just words of love, but commitments to continue building their life with the same integrity and community focus that had defined their relationship. The reception at the auto shop was a festive and heartfelt celebration, with tables set among the equipment and tools, which somehow felt perfectly placed. Music filled the air, a mix of high life and Afro beats, as guests danced and celebrated under the strings of lights that crisscrossed overhead. Ada and Ngozi, deeply involved in the celebration, felt a renewed sense of connection, not only to Chioma but also to each other and the community around them. Ada's boutique, now thriving with a focus on local artisans, and Ngozi's growing reputation in legal circles as a champion for the underrepresented, were testaments to the influence of their friendship with Chioma. Years later, as they sat watching the sunset by the Lagos Lagoon, Chioma, Ada, and Ngozi reflected on the paths their lives had taken. The laughter of the children playing nearby blended with the sounds of the city that continued to pulse with life around them. They shared stories of their challenges and victories, their conversations a tapestry of their individual journeys and their collective experiences. Each woman had found her own definition of success and fulfillment, influenced and supported by their enduring friendship. Chioma and Chinedu continue to grow both their family and their business, now a model for social entrepreneurship in Lagos. Ada's boutique had become a landmark for sustainable fashion, and Ngozi was considering a run for political office, hoping to influence broader change for social justice. As the night deepened and the first stars appeared, they promised to keep supporting each other, no matter where their paths took them. In the bustling heart of Lagos, amidst its complexities and challenges, they had found the true meaning of wealth, in relationships nurtured by understanding, respect, and unconditional support. In the months following the wedding, Chioma and Chinedu found that their shared life was not just a fulfillment of personal dreams, but also a beacon of possibility for their community. Inspired by the success of the wedding event at the auto shop, Chinedu expanded its outreach by starting weekend workshops for local youth, teaching them basic mechanical skills and the principles of entrepreneurship. Chioma, seeing the impact of these workshops, decided to utilize her background in education to add a formalized training program. Together, they launched a small community learning center right next to Chinedu's auto care. The center provided classes on financial literacy, rights awareness, and even English and mathematics, becoming a hub of learning and empowerment. Meanwhile, Ada and Ngozi were navigating their own paths of growth and influence. Ada's boutique had gained national recognition for its innovative approach to combining fashion with social responsibility. Her work not only supported local artisans but also promoted ethical practices in the fashion industry, leading to invitations to speak at conferences and participate in national fashion shows. Ngozi, influenced by a friend's commitment to community, had taken a bold step in her career. She founded a non-profit organization focused on legal education and services for the underprivileged. Her work had a profound impact, offering pro bono services and workshops to educate people about their legal rights and how to protect them. As the one-year anniversary of the workshop's opening approached, Chioma and Chinedu decided to host a community celebration. The event was designed not just as a party, but as a showcase of what the community had achieved together. The day of the celebration was bright and sunny, typical of a Lagos morning. The area around Chinedu's auto car was transformed into a festival-like atmosphere with colorful banners, food stalls serving local delicacies, and music that filled the air with vibrant beats. Chioma and Chinedu, along with Ada and Ngozi, greeted guests as they arrived, families from the neighborhood, young people who attended the workshops, local business owners, and even some city officials who had heard about the community projects. The highlight of the event was the unveiling of a new scholarship program, funded by donations from local businesses, including Ada's boutique. The program was designed to send top students from the Community Learning Center to advanced training courses and even college. As the day turned into evening and the celebration continued under the glow of lanterns, strung from the shop to the surrounding trees, the friends gathered for a moment of reflection. "We started this with a dream of making a small difference," Chinedu said, his voice filled with emotion. "But it's turned into something bigger, something that's not just about us anymore." Ada added, "It's about what we can do when we come together, when we put our resources and our hearts into the same purpose." Ngozi, always the thoughtful one, observed, "We've all changed, haven't we? Our paths have diverged and converged in ways we couldn't have imagined, but at the core of it, we've stayed connected through our shared commitment to making a difference." As the evening ended, the friends stood together, watching the community enjoy the festivities. They realized that their bonds had not only endured, but had been strengthened by their individual and collective journeys. The impact of their work, the changes they had inspired in their community, and the lives they had touched all stemmed from the seeds of friendship and belief in better possibilities. As the seasons changed and the bustling streets of Lagos continued to pulse with life, Chioma, Ada, and Ngozi found themselves at the forefront of a movement that was gradually reshaping their community. The success of the anniversary celebration had sparked even greater interest in social entrepreneurship and community development among local residents and business leaders. Chioma, inspired by the success of the Community Learning Center, decided to take her commitment to education one step further. She began collaborating with local schools to integrate practical skills training into their curricula. Her initiative, Skills for Tomorrow, aimed to equip students with both academic and practical skills that would prepare them for the realities of the job market in Nigeria. The program faced resistance at first, with some educators hesitant to deviate from traditional methods. However, Kioma's persistence and the demonstrated success of her pilot programs gradually won them over. By integrating real-world applications into the learning process, students became more engaged and parents more supportive. Ada, meanwhile, expanded her boutique into a larger social enterprise. She launched Threads of Change, a line that used recycled materials and employed disadvantaged women from the community. This initiative not only promoted sustainability in fashion, but also empowered women by providing them with skills and steady employment. Her efforts gained international attention, leading to collaborations with global brands interested in ethical fashion. Ada became a prominent figure in the fashion industry, using her platform to advocate for change and inspire a new generation of designers to prioritize sustainability and social responsibility. Ngozi, fueled by her passion for justice and her friends' successes, spearheaded a legal aid campaign called Justice for All. This initiative provided legal services to those who couldn't afford them and conducted community seminars on legal rights and responsibilities. Her work brought her into contact with policymakers and influencers in the legal field, and she began lobbying for reforms that would make the justice system more accessible and equitable. Ngozi's efforts led to significant policy changes, including the implementation of more community courts and the expansion of legal aid resources. As the projects grew, so did the challenges. Funding was a constant hurdle, and the broader economic fluctuations of Lagos sometimes threatened to derail their initiatives. However, the strength of their vision and their close-knit support system provided the resilience they needed to keep moving forward. The friends also faced personal challenges. Chioma and Chinedu balanced their professional ambitions with the demands of raising two young children. Ada dealt with the pressures of being in the public eye, and Ngozi navigated the complexities of political engagement. Yet, with each challenge came new opportunities. The community rallied around their initiatives, and the impact of their work began to be felt, not just in Mushin but across Lagos. Young people trained at Chinedu's shop and Koma's learning center started their own businesses. Women empowered by Ada's enterprise became community leaders, and beneficiaries of Ngozi's legal aid became advocates for justice. As they looked back on the years since they first embarked on these journeys, the trio realized that their greatest achievement was not in the projects they had started or the recognition they had received. It was in the community they had helped to build, a community of empowered individuals who were now driving change in their own right. Their friendship had been the cornerstone of this transformation, proving that when like-minded individuals come together with a shared vision, they can indeed turn the tide of fate and forge a future filled with hope.